quick, though. I just want to bounce back. Ian, jump in on that. I just want to bounce back on this with the Heisman thing really quick. Could it possibly end up, do you think we could see co-Heisman Trophy winners?
No.
We've seen co-MVP. We've seen co-Rookie of the Years before in the NBA, Jason Kidd, Grant Hill. Like, I don't think it would be much of an outrage. I can see both these men up on the podium and they bring out the second trophy from the back because they already know who won, right? They already know that the votes are counted way before the ceremony. They already know who won. I'm just throwing it out there.
If we have dual Heisman, I'm going to be literally furious.
It just would set such a slippery slope and precedent because then whenever in the future you have two guys who are remotely close, there's going to be such a debate.
Ooh, what do we have done? Why don't we just do both of them? They did it with Travis Hunter and Ashton. No.
And just last real quick, I'm with you a little, Ian. I am with you a little. I think Travis Hunter's the Heisman. I just don't think the separation is as big as maybe Martin and maybe some other people think. This year that Genty's having, he's all they have.
It's insane. And he's leading to the playoffs.
Yeah, and you know he's getting the ball, and there's nothing you can do about it. I think Travis Hunter's the Heisman winner, but I think it's closer. I think it's a lot closer, and I think we're going to see that in the voting. If there was an
MVP for college football, I would probably give it to Ashton Genty. But that is not what the Heisman is supposed to be.
And he's probably going to win. There is an award like that, right? There is somebody that wins like the National Player of the Year.
You mean like if there was like an Offensive Player of the Year? Because I feel like the Heisman is kind of the MVP.
No, the Heisman is supposed to be the Heisman is supposed to be the best player in college football.
Just the best player.
That's kind of what the MVP's turned into, right?
Yeah, but it's not though. Like the best player in the NFL, if we were to do that, then Tom Brady would have 18 MVP awards, or LeBron would have had 9 straight MVP awards. The best player is not always the most valuable player.
Yeah, the MVP, in my opinion, the NFL doesn't go to the best player. I love L. Jackson, love him. He's 2-time MVP. I don't think Lamar Jackson's the best player in the NFL.
It's just his value to his team was greater than the value of anybody else was to their team.
Yeah, like the year Marshall Faulk won it, he was the best player in the NFL. You get that sometimes. Like the year Peyton Manning won MVP, Peyton Manning wasn't the best player in the NFL. He's just he's Peyton Manning for the Colts, and he's the biggest value to his team.
Legitimately, the question that we have for this segment right here, right now, is the MVP at stake, and the question is between Saquon Barkley and Lamar Jackson.
Incredible transition.
But would anybody have them as the best player in the NFL? I think they're high on a short list.
Yeah,
but best?
I don't think so. Yeah, no. Listen, man, you know what's so interesting about this question? We could be talking about 4 guys, right? We could be talking about 4 guys, and I think Hurts would be 4. But Lamar, Derrick Henry,
do them in order. If you have Hurts 4th, then do them in order. Then, because I think that's a strong point.
It is. Okay, so right now I would say Hurts is 4th. I would say 3rd would be King Henry, and I would say 2nd, surprisingly to many, will be L. Jax, and I think Saquon Barkley is in the clubhouse right now as the leader of the MVP because we already know what Lamar means to his team. We already know what Derrick Henry has meant to Baltimore. But I don't think anybody could have saw what Saquon is doing and what he's done. And when I was at the game covering the Rams and the Eagles, I asked Jalen Hurts, what does it feel like to have a guy like Saquon back there and take such a load off of you? You seem fresher at this point of the year. If you could have saw the look in that man's face when I asked that question to him, it was like he didn't have to answer. The look that he gave the room was like, man, he goes, I got a lot more time on that back end. I can tell you that right now. So that means play action. So when he gets play action, he's got plenty of time to find his guy.
All the read options too. Oh yeah, wait a minute, so hold on.
I think it's Saquon, and I'm not victim of the moment and none of that. I'm just putting the film on, man. What he's meant, 255, the way he did that against on Sunday Night Football against the Rams, just what he's meant to that team. I would put him in the clubhouse, but I think L. Jax is right behind him. Derrick Henry 3rd, Jalen Hurts 4th.
You know what's an interesting thing, though, to bring up about that with the 4 guys that you just named? They're all from 2 different teams. So it's the Eagles and Ravens, and they're the top 4 candidates in your mind. Can they really be that valuable to their team if someone else who's also one of the 4 most valuable players in the league is on their team as well? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because
LeBron was winning MVPs with the Heat.
Well, it's also, too, it's the same. Just go ahead and just mix it up, throw it in a blender and press puree. Same deal with Colorado. Like, Shedeur Sanders is incredibly important to that team. Yep. And without him, they're probably 500. right? They probably are a 500 team, maybe below. That doesn't mean he's the best player on the team.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But he's incredibly valuable. You know, it's very much the same. It's fruits of the same tree.
Remember, Kurt Warner won an MVP. Marshall Faulk won an MVP the year before. Same backfield. And that's with Isaiah Hakeem and Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt. By the way, 2 of those other names I just named, Hall of Fame receivers. So you could throw that out there, but Peyton Manning won. He had Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison and Joseph Adai and Edgerrin James to hand the ball. I mean,
definitely.
You know, and there were years where people thought, hey, Edgerrin James the MVP. Look what Edgerrin James does for the Colts. He has 600 yards receiving and 1,500 yards rushing, but who got the MVP? Peyton Manning.
I do think that right now, as it stands, Saquon Barkley should be the lead for MVP.
Yeah.
I imagine that a quarterback will overtake him by the time this is all said and done. But right now, Saquon should be the leader in the clubhouse because that Philly team, there were 2 NFC collapses last year.
Yep.
All right. One of them was the Philadelphia Eagles. Started out 10-1, but never felt great. Yep. Remember I was banging on them. They're 10-1. And you were looking at me like they're great.
Hurts got hurt.
Yep. They're missing field goals. Just, you know, and then just a weird. Do we really like Sirianni, even though he's got a great winning percentage? Like a very odd situation with all of it, right? Ends up culminating in a playoff game in Tampa Bay in which they looked like they had no interest in going.
Yeah.
Like they treated that Tampa game like it was a connection flight from Philly to Tampa to Cancun.
They dragged their team there. They dragged their team there, yeah. So then we also, same division, NFC East, saw a collapse in the postseason for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Give up a 500,000 yards to Aaron Jones rushing. Dak throws 2 first-half interceptions. Man. They finished the second half better, but it didn't matter by that point how ugly as the first half was. 31-6 at the half or something crazy like that.
What's the biggest difference between the Eagles and the Cowboys right here, right now? It's what Howie Roseman did in the offseason, going to get Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley.
That's it.
Yep.
Ostensibly, these are a lot of the same teams. I know they both have new defensive coordinators. Philly made some they drafted some guys on the defensive side of the ball, like
defense is playing better this year
and
too.
Mitchell, the cornerbacks, and they got the guy Zach Bond, who was a Saints rotational linebacker, who's playing a ton of great snaps for them now. But that's the difference right there. It's the off-season team building that the Philly did, and that's why they're in a position right now. They're basically in the same spot they were this time last year, but this time last year, nobody was saying there's an MVP on the roster.
Not at all.
Nobody was saying that. It was all about how the Eagles are getting lucky, falling through the cracks, this, that, and the third, not paying attention to details. Saquon Barkley, very much like a great safety, can eliminate some of your bad corner plays, bad linebacker play. Saquon Barkley has eliminated all concerns of the Philly offensive line, almost all concerns about the Philly quarterback play, if you had those concerns, because he's a lock to get 3 yards, 4 yards of carry.
Yeah, 4 or 5 yards of carry. What Saquon also brought too, I thought he brought like a running toughness back. Now, remember, Swift was just a running back there who is, doing, I guess he's doing well, doing okay, doing good in Chicago.
But he was a high pick. He was drafted by the Lions in the first or second round.
One of those
a guy that really got work.
Yeah, exactly. One of those Georgia guys that we love, the Georgia running backs. But what Saquon also does too is he opens up the passing game. So it's not just running the ball, because the game we had 255, he also had almost 50 yards receiving that game. So he's helping with the passing game along with the rushing attack that they have. Also, speaking about that Philly defense, you guys have to, some of the numbers I just memorized by covering the team and covering the game is that passing defense was horrific last year. They're the number 1 passing defense in the league right now. They only give up about $170-something through the air, $180-something through the air. You can't throw the ball on them.
Conversely, on Baltimore, you can throw a party.
Exactly.
In that defensive backfield.
Well, that until Justin Herbert that because he couldn't throw the ball on them at all.
Tell Jimmy to let's open this thing up, and
you need some receivers.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. It's like
Ladd McConkey,
personnel really matters.
Ladd McConkey's your best guy. Okay, and you and I just sidebar real quick. You and I have been banging. I was one of the first ones I told you guys about Quentin Johnson coming out of TCU. Just put the TCU tape on, guys. I just don't see it. I don't. I see Dwayne Jarrett. You're a USC guy, but I don't know if you're old enough to remember a receiver by the name of Dwayne Jarrett, who was very similar to him. That was kind of a one-trick pony in college. You could just say, okay, when you get to the league, you better learn how to run routes and do a little more than what you're doing in college, because in the NFL, those lanes close up real fast, those corners stick to you, and those safeties cover the field. This is the game. There's a few other games on the slate tomorrow, but this is the one that you sit back, man. Go get yourself a sub sandwich or a grinder wherever you live, or a hoagie wherever you live in the world, and sit back.
Would you either get crab cake,
for
mambo sauce, or
there you go. For this game, it's either a gyro, cheesecake, or crab cake and wings, fried rice, and mambo sauce.
I think for this game. Ultimately, though, I would have to go ahead and put my if I were to bet on this, I'm not betting on this, just to be clear, because we will do that at the top of the next hour, even though that a lot of NFL games already played.
I know. It's already been 4 games, man.
Okay, we'll have to talk. Maybe we'll only do 2 dogs or something like that.
There's nothing left on the boat. We got to do our 3. Last week was hard. You missed last week. Last week was hard.
VJ, Arnie went 0-8.
I know it was hard for Arnie.
Yeah, 0 for 3 on Atomic Dogs and 0 for 5 on picks.
He's terrible. So I hope he's listening.
I anchored their show, Arnie and Plank, on Sunday the next day.
Okay.
And Arnie was pleased to find out that he hadn't hit a single pick.
He was 0-8.
Just do the other thing. Just do the opposite of what I do.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
No, we got to do our 3, man. When weeks is tough, we fight through and make the picks, man.
I had to go with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens here.
Well, it's in Baltimore, so you have the home field. Saquon, man, this kid's gonna make plays. Derrick Henry does have these games where he can't do much for about 2.5 quarters, and then boom, he busts one. That's just kind of how Derrick Henry's been running this year. And then he's got games where he's just tearing guys up the whole game. But I think this Philly defense is much better than it was last year. Carter, Nakobe Dean, like as I mentioned already, have the number 1 pass defense, that back end. They're great on third down. They're a top 10 third down conversion defensive team. So they get off the field, they stop you, they put you in third and long, they get off the field, and then you get the ball back to Jalen Hurts. And also, too, remember, they also play with no Devontae Smith in that Ram game on Sunday night last week. So there was no Devontae Smith there either. So you start to get all your weapons back. This offense just really hums, man, when Jalen doesn't have to shoulder the load. Same with Lamar, though. Lamar, this is the first year in his career he has not had to lead the Ravens in rushing. First time in his career.